Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Break Reflection. I'm Jerry Scott. I hope you're having a great week. Let's talk about God walking with us. My meditation's called You Are With Me. For many years, I served Faith Discovery Church as her pastor. The church meets in a large building with beautiful laminate wood trusses and a wooden deck roofing structure that reaches 40 feet at its peak. When the wind blows, that building seems to come alive with sounds and creaks and groans. I've been in that sanctuary for thousands of hours, and yet, when I'm in there in the dark of night by myself, I begin to feel uneasy when those sounds fill the room. I see shadows on the wall and my imagination runs wild. But in the light of day, that very same sanctuary is a place that is a sanctuary for me, and I feel safe even in the stormiest day. What's the difference? Light. Sometimes we find ourselves living in the dark, don't we? Not literally, but figuratively. Confusion, uncertainty, multiple challenges come that exhaust us, that combine to blot the light out of our soul, and in that moment, it's very possible we may begin to feel fearful. Matthew tells us the story about telling his friends that he was going to go to Jerusalem and there he would die. Peter objected, saying such an awful thing could never be the will of God. And Jesus severely reprimanded Peter. "Get behind me, Satan." He told him that he would deny knowing him, which Peter said, "That can't happen." He said, "These other guys might deny you, Lord, but not me." Of course, we know the story. And in the dark, when fear took hold of Peter, he not only denied Jesus once, he denied him 3 times. He failed spectacularly because of fear. When Jesus was taken into custody for an illegal midnight trial, what happened to the rest of the disciples? Fear took hold. They fled into the darkness, abandoning their friend. John tells us that they hid away after the crucifixion behind locked doors, deeply shaken and fearful. And you think you've had a bad week? Sometimes God's people walk through dark times. That's a fact of life. The psalmist reminds us of this, however, in Psalm 23:4. I love these lines. Quoted them to myself 1,000 times. "Even when I walk through the dark valley of death, I will not be afraid." Why? "Because you are close beside me, your rod and your staff, they protect and comfort me." What a promise. Even when we can't see him, God is with us. Even when we're walking through the dark rooms of death or disappointment or even demonic attack, he's with us. You might say, well, why doesn't he take us out of those situations? I don't know. I don't know. That's the faith part of the question. But he is with us. Years after his spectacular failure, Peter urged Christians to be steady. He writes out of his own experience of walking in darkness and says, "Don't be surprised at the fiery trials you're going through, as if something strange were happening to you. Instead, be very glad, because these trials will make you partners with Christ in suffering, and afterward you will have the wonderful joy of sharing his glory when it is displayed to all the world." 1 Peter chapter 4. Now, friend, are you in the dark today? In Acts 16, we read another story of faith in darkness. After doing a lot of good around the city of Philippi, Peter and Silas found themselves jailed on trumped-up charges of disturbing the peace. There they were, chained to the wall in a filthy dungeon. And midnight came. Sounds like a good time to complain, perhaps even be fearful, right? But listen to what they did. They overcame the temptation to fear with a different decision. Acts 16 says, about midnight, Paul and Silas were at prayer and singing hymns to God. The other prisoners couldn't believe their ears. They sang songs of faith. And you know the rest of the story. An earthquake shook that jail and opened the doors, and probably even more importantly, that jailer's heart was open to the good news of Jesus Christ, the light broke through in his life as well, and he became a founding member of the Philippian church. You can sing in the darkness. Oh, the sun may be shining in your light brightly today, and if so, I'm glad. Be thankful. Strengthen your relationship with God through praise, through faith, through worship. But if you're living in the dark, so to speak, remember God is not far away. Though you may not see him at the moment, he's there. So don't run about, kneel. Instead of wailing, sing about the faithfulness of God, and you will overcome fear and darkness. The light will shine on you again. Here's a word from the 139th Psalm, verse 7. Where can I go, Lord, from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn and settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand guides me. Your right hand holds me fast. If I say the darkness will hide me and the light will become night around me, even in the darkness it is not darkness to you, for the night will shine like the day. Darkness is as light to you, O Lord. Ah, friend, he's the light. Live in the light. Overcome the darkness. And you will find the contentment and joy that Jesus promises. Would you pray with me before we part company? Father, sometimes the darkness comes. It's hard. We feel afraid. In those moments, help us to know you are there. Lead us to the light. Lord, I pray that you will shine brightly through us today. Help us to love. Help us to live peacefully. Help us to bring encouragement. For Jesus' sake, in his name I pray. Amen. Good to share with you this morning, friends. Love bringing Coffee Break your way. I hope that these words encourage you to say yes to God every day. I'll hope to see you in a few days, and until then, I urge you, walk with Jesus.